You know, there comes a moment in many people's lives when everything suddenly feels utterly pointless. The job that once seemed important now feels like a meaningless charade. The relationships that once brought joy now feel like empty performances. The goals you were chasing now seem arbitrary and hollow. And you look at your life and think, what's the point of any of this? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What does any of it matter? This is not depression, necessarily, though it might look like it from the outside. This is something much more interesting. This is what happens when you wake up from the collective dream, when you start to see through the game that everyone is playing, when the meaning that you borrowed from society begins to dissolve, and you're left facing the raw question, what is the point? Now, most people respond to this feeling in one of two ways, and both are problematic. The first response is panic. They feel the pointlessness and immediately try to run from it, to distract themselves, to create new meanings, new goals, new purposes. They throw themselves into work, into relationships, into causes, into addictions, anything to avoid sitting with that uncomfortable feeling that nothing matters. The second response is resignation. They accept the pointlessness as a final truth and sink into a kind of nihilistic despair. If nothing matters, why do anything? Why get out of bed? Why engage with life at all? They become paralyzed by the very insight that could have freed them. But I want to suggest a third response, a response that's actually quite revolutionary. What if the feeling that everything is pointless is not a problem to be solved, but a doorway to be walked through? What if it's not the end of meaning, but the beginning of a much deeper kind of meaning? Let me explain what I mean. When you feel that everything is pointless, what you're really recognizing is that all the meanings you've been living by are invented. They're made up. They're stories that human beings have told themselves to make sense of existence. And there's nothing wrong with stories, but when you realize that they're just stories, that there's no cosmic necessity to any of them, something very important has happened. You've seen through the game. You've recognized that meaning is not found, it's created. And once you see this, you can never go back to the innocent belief that your job or your relationship or your cause has some inherent, absolute meaning. The spell is broken. And this feels pointless at first because you've lost the meanings you were borrowing from outside yourself. Society told you that success matters, that family matters, that progress matters, that leaving a legacy matters. And you believed it. You made these borrowed meanings your own and built your life around them. But now you've seen that these are just agreements, just collective stories that we've decided to take seriously. And once you see the arbitrary nature of these meanings, they lose their power over you. And yes, this creates a void, a sense of pointlessness. But this void is not the end, it's the beginning. You see, as long as you're living according to borrowed meanings, you're not really free. You're like an actor who's so identified with their role that they've forgotten their acting. You take the script seriously because you think it's real, because you think it matters in some absolute sense. But when you realize it's just a script, just a story, you're suddenly free to play the role differently, or to choose a different role entirely, or to write your own script. The feeling of pointlessness is the recognition of your freedom. It's the moment when you realize that you don't have to live according to anyone else's definitions of what matters. You're free to decide for yourself what's meaningful, what's worth doing, how you want to spend your brief time in this strange existence. But here's where most people make a mistake. They think that because nothing has inherent meaning, they now need to create meaning, to impose meaning on a meaningless universe. And so they go searching for their purpose, their passion, their mission. They think they need to figure out what their life is supposed to be about and then dedicate themselves to it. But this is just another trap. This is taking the feeling of pointlessness and trying to cover it up with a new story, a new meaning, a self-created purpose. And while this might work for a while, it's ultimately just another game, just another way of avoiding the deeper truth. The deeper truth is this: life doesn't need a point. Existence doesn't require justification. You don't need a reason to be here or a purpose to fulfill. The question, what's the point, is itself based on a misunderstanding, on the assumption that there should be a point, that meaning is something life owes you. But what if life is not a journey towards some goal, not a problem to be solved, not a story that needs a satisfying conclusion? What if life is more like music or dance? You don't listen to a symphony in order to reach the end. You don't dance in order to arrive somewhere. The point of music is the music itself. The point of dancing is the dancing itself. It's not going somewhere. It's already here, fully present in each moment. In the same way, the point of life is simply living, simply being, simply the experience of existence itself. Not for anything, not toward anything, but as an end in itself. This very moment, exactly as it is the point. This breath, this sensation, this thought, this feeling, this is it. There's nothing else you need to get to, nothing else you need to achieve, no higher meaning you need to discover. When you really understand this, when you truly see that life doesn't need justification, something remarkable happens. The feeling of pointlessness transforms into something else entirely. It becomes a kind of lightness, a freedom, a playfulness. If there's no ultimate point, if there's no cosmic significance to anything you do, then you're free to simply enjoy the process of living without the burden of having to make it mean something. You can work at your job without needing it to be your calling. You can love someone without needing them to complete you.